All right. Well, today we have myself and Eric. We're going to talk about the RV park industry and Eric's SaaS development for the basically buying RV parks. He's he's calling it InvestIN, and
Unknown call.
we're just going to talk about why it's a good thing. Go for it, Eric.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Brian. Hey, InvestIn is actually the parent company of a series of websites that we're developing, and we're first starting off with investinrvparks.com. At some point, we are hoping to expand into the invest in storage units and invest in mobile home parks segments. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to take an industry that is pretty antiquated, has a lot of bare bones competitors out there. They're just, they get the job done, but they're not really great. They're not really utilizing technology to the fullest
Yeah.
to be able to provide an experience that makes it really easy for people to buy RV parks or to sell their RV park. Right now, what would you say? We're limited to, I think it's about five main competitors. You start off with the specific ones that are dedicated just to RV parks. So you have
Hmm.
Campground Connection, Parks and Places, the RV store. Those are really the top three competitors in my eyes. So
Oh, yeah, for
that's
sure.
not bad. To have only three competitors in a space, that's not too bad.
Right.
But then you
Yeah.
have the bigger ones such as like Crexy and Realtor.com or Redfin. Sometimes people will put commercial properties that are considered real RV parks on those sites as well.
Hmm.
And the biggest
I
thing that
live
you run
there.
into those is just they have so much other stuff. I mean, like, yeah, they're filled with tons of other types of products. You can't really just easily search for RV parks on these bigger
Yeah.
national sites. So you end up going to the first three that I mentioned, Parks and Places, excuse me, the RV Park Store, Parks and Places, or the Campground Connection, and all of them have their own things that they're better at one thing than the other. Ideally, I would say our biggest competition in the space would be the RV Park Store. They're very straightforward. It's a company that just makes marketplaces. They're not really a RV focused company. They happen to make marketplaces for a lot of other industries. And they just know that, hey, we can make a website. People will pay us money every month to try to sell their properties. And with the right SEO, we'll rank.
Hmm.
And
Let's see.
that's it. That's like that's the marketplace.
Okay, that's interesting. So let me ask you, what specific problem are you trying to solve in the
Right
RV
now,
space?
the main problem, yeah, the main problem in the RV space is just the sites that are out there, they're very basic. They give you, some of the information. If you really wanted to know all the nitty-gritty details, all the amenities, the extent of what their amenities are, the extent of repairs that are needed, beyond just the basic NOI and cap rate, you really have to go in and, kind of divulge that information for yourself, or hope that when you get connected to the agent, or the representative for that RV park, that you can get all that information. And that's one thing that I really want to get out of the way. It's like I want to be able to search for this type of criteria. I want a, 50 pad or more RV park in the southeast with um, some brand new glamping options, at least 10 glamping units that are geodesic domes or tree houses or some really exotic, interesting unit. Do they have like a lazy river, something that we're building in our own RV resort development? Is there an arcade? There's all these little specifics that you can't really search for. You can't be like, you know
Hmm.
what, I do want a waterfront property that has a lazy river. It's, the proximity from the nearest interstate is less than 10 miles. And I want, like they're also looking for creative finance, like right
Right.
off the bat. You can search for some of those things, but you can't really just search exactly that. And you can't just type that in. Like if you wanted to type that in into a search that is like, like your search query, instead of clicking all the buttons, is like 50 pads or more, waterfront, maybe lazy river, and close to interstate, East Coast. If you put that natural language query in, you would not get anything unless it said lazy
Yeah.
river in the name or East Coast in the name. You wouldn't actually have the AI capabilities to parse that into a search query that says, oh, yeah, here's everything on the East Coast, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, that is close to an interstate, has has all your other things that you were interested in. You can't You can't do that. So that's one of the things we're going to add in a little AI, but we're not focusing on AI. AI is used, overused, and under properly. It's they over people overpromise what AI can do in today's current market, and they underdeliver. So we want to underpromise and overdeliver. We just want AI to give us a little boost in terms of helping with the searches, helping connect people that might have a skill set with somebody else who might be a complementary skill set to be a part of an RV development team. So we've talked about how it's a marketplace, right? You're buying, you're selling
Mhm.
RV parks, RV resorts, RV destinations, but you're also finding and recruiting teammates and team members so that, let's say I'm Joe Schmo, I've never built an RV park, but I'm an amazing GC. I've done construction all my life. I want to get into RV parks. I know how to build small buildings really well, but I don't know anybody in this space. Well, if I can go onto, investinrvparks.com and find that, wow, there's like 15 eligible projects. Either they're property that's prime, right for development. They're projects that need somebody like me in my general region where I can travel to them. I don't have to relocate. I can go and I can actually sign up to that property or that project, even if there is no, even if there is an RV development slated for that specific piece of land. Someone can say, look, I know this is a good piece of land. This is behind my house. It's 30 acres. They're zoned right. I would love to be on a team that's going to develop that, but I don't know anybody, so I'm just going to queue myself. So we're actually calling it Project Pulse, the feature where somebody can just queue up interest, whether they're the developer, they're they're the investor, there even could be the marketing person who says like, look, I don't want to deal with the development, but when this opens, my company's available to go in and offer marketing services. We would love to offer our marketing skill set as part of your executive team, a CMO, a chief marketing officer. I'll be your marketer for this resort that you're going to spend $20 million on. You haven't even broken ground, but at least on our website, we can say, look, these are all the people that are interested in. So we won't really divulge the people's information right off the website, right off the bat.
Mhm.
You're going to have to either be the person who actually ends up buying the property, and then you get this list of people that you can now potentially work with, um, or you're going to have a higher end account where it's like, you're a business account where you're trying to get that business. You're trying to go out. You're trying to say, hey, I am available to do all of the grading for everything in a 150-mile radius of here. Let me queue up all of these properties that are for sale, properties that are already parks, but maybe have expansion. A lot of different options we have there. So we're trying to not just make the RV marketplace interface interaction experience better. We're trying to do the same thing that I kind of found myself in, which was I was a consultant for an RV park project, and over the course of a few months, they they decided to invite me as a general partner because they saw the value of my contributions, and I was able to find a team. The team found me, and my first RV park consulting job was my first RV park consulting job ever, because I'm an IT consultant that also has a marketing background. So I just decided, a friend of mine said, hey, there's some people who want to make a smart RV park. You do tech, you're a smart guy. Let's figure out what happens, right? And that was the beginning of the end for me. But not everybody has that in. Not
Yeah.
everybody can make that type of introduction doesn't always happen. So in my case, it worked out really well. I went from doing a one-off, my first RV park consulting job ever, to now being a part of a eight-figure development as a general partner, and now looking at doing 25 more redevelopments and acquisitions coming soon. So I want to give people that opportunity. I want to have the website be my friend Cameron, who's like, hey, I know these people. Maybe you two could do some work together. And I want to be able to provide that same experience, but in a digital place so that we can get parks sold. We can increase the number of RV park owners. We can increase the number of people collaborating together through the same platform, and we could just have better transparency in the industry when it comes to the buying, selling, and the development of these things. There's so many people that come in and they don't have
Mm-hmm.
support, and they
No,
don't
no.
just ruin the project for themselves. They ruin it for all the RVers who are going to that park expecting
Yeah.
something and not receiving what their expectations were. So yeah, it's just like it's a new it's a bright and a bright and shining star in a very small niche community, but the value of that community, monetary and just personal capital, it's immense, and it's only blowing up. The RV business is booming. It's ever since COVID hit, RVs have been, up until I think the past year, they were just record breaking sales. And
Mm-hmm.
there's only so many RV pads. There's not enough RV pads being made for the 11.2 million people who identify as RV owners in the US.
Right? Yeah,
So I
for
mean,
sure.
we got an awesome opportunity to help people, and yeah, I like the idea of really well done tech. I'm an Apple consultant by trade, so I admire the the obsession, obsessiveness, and like the attention to detail that Apple does to everything they ever produce. If it's got their name
Mm-hmm.
on it, like if you were to take apart any iPhone, any Mac, which I've taken apart many over the years,
Okay.
the amount of detail on the inside matches the detail on the outside, if not exceeds it, in
Oh
terms of
yeah, for
just
sure.
what, like, to make this fit. This is customized to be like perfect, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other places will just like they'll put this in, they'll put a little pad, and be like, okay, they fit, right? There's no bespoke custom fittings at the level that Apple brought to the market. So now most electronics companies are doing that because that's how things have gotten smaller. You've got to make it custom. Well, with
Right.
the websites out there and the services out there, especially in the RV park world, they were just a glove, like one
Mm-hmm.
size fits all glove. And I'd rather make that bespoke. This is made for the RV industry. This is going to help people get into it, excel in it, and get the most out of it if they're deciding to retire and sell.
Okay. So instead of being like a Crexy or LoopNet, you're going to help connect people together so that they can also develop the park, improve the park, and even buy the park. Is that right? And
Yep,
then,
and also we're gonna dabble into the funding aspect of it. We don't want to become like a cash flow portal or a funding platform, but what we want to do is just let people know that some of these projects are requiring funds. They need X funds,
yeah.
and all we'll do is we'll be able to take in their cash flow portal and Syndication Pro, you know, portal links, and they can just put in, manually put in the amount that they're looking to raise, and they can at least just advertise like, hey, we're raising capital, let's start a conversation, and to take it from there. So we're just going to kind of like point people in the right direction for those that are looking for funding, seeking funding. And then
Mm-hmm.
also, I mean, it gives us opportunity to have a place for people who have funding to look at some projects just on a real, high 30,000 foot surface level, like, oh wow, these all these projects are requiring funding. Well, cool, I now have a call log, an email list to go through to see which of these projects might be a good fit for my investors.
Yeah. That's a good way to do it. There's a need for that for sure. Let's see here.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And really it's just like, think about just really good mobile apps, iPhone apps, Android apps. The interfaces of those have to be the UX and the decisions that you have
Mm-hmm.
to create a really well made app means you have to understand the psychology of your users to the point where you anticipate what they're going to do and you simplify everything. So I mentioned all these features and all these things that we want to do on the site, but I want the site to just feel simple and it feel natural when you are, okay, so you're looking at a site and it's like, it says, are you looking to buy or sell, or are you looking to get in a
Right.
project? Cool, you just click on the get in. Well, now your whole interface is related to joining projects. Like, you're not selling anything, you're not buying anything if you're just trying to find a project. So just making it
Good.
simple and clean. That's
That's
that's what's
nice.
missing. Like, all of them out there, that they're functional, but they don't have the design. I want a highly
No, no.
functional, great, well designed tool that just is like a marriage between the two of them, not having to choose or. My
Right.
business partner Zach Hoyt, he's a and guy. He's like, I don't ever do or. It's always and, like, function. and design, not function or design. Well, that's what
Hmm.
the current competition is. It's function. There's really no design, so just function. So I
Right,
want to
for sure.
bring the missing design, and yeah, and then bring in that monster.com functionality, that recruiting aspect of it. I think is I don't know why that isn't a thing on a lot of these other sites, these marketplaces, because like yeah, you're selling a piece of a project, right? Well, what if you could,
Hmm.
provide more for the project in terms of manpower, in terms of funding, in terms of connections, even
Yeah,
vendors?
like build your
Like
team.
they're missing out on, yeah, build your team. They're missing out on this other 80% of the equation. It's, hey, to niche down and to like be super highly hyper focused. A lot of businesses, that's all that they ever really need to do. But I feel like, okay, these businesses have been out for over a decade.
Yeah.
Crexi, Redfin, Realtor, all these other monster sites, and there, I would say Zillow is one of the ones that have actually expanded the most
The
outside
most,
of
yeah.
just being a marketplace, because they do the rentals and they do tenant
Yeah.
management and they do like they do all these things now. Like they're not just buy a house. They started
Hmm.
off with just buy, sell your house, right?
Yep.
So I'm hoping to kind of come out strong with a really strong marketplace that has these features. And we'll see if the market responds and says, hey, yeah, these are really helpful. Like I found my equivalent of Brian Rice, my SEC attorney and legal guru for the representation of my capital firm that buys RV parks. I found them through investinrvparks.com. That was
Hmm.
awesome. Simple, right?
Yeah, for sure. Um, so how do you plan to like acquire your first set of clients? Like,
First set of clients.
subscribers,
So I've
subscribers,
actually
not clients,
So,
subscribers.
so I've got a waiting list right now. It's not
Uh-huh.
very large. It's hasn't hit 100 yet because I haven't really. We're in stealth mode. So if you go to the
Right.
site, you'll see a waiting list. It has some of the information, and it has an option for people to sign up, depending on what they want to be. If they're an investor, if they're a capital raiser, they just want to find funds for other people to build their RV parks, or maybe even they're a vendor, they're an insurance provider, and they just want to have that hyper local functionality where someone says, hey, I'm building a park in 30097. Cool, I serve insurance there. I can now serve an ad to them for their free plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pay for a pro plan. You don't have to see a lot of these ads. Right now it's ad free, but we are in stealth mode. We are in the second version of the MVP, which is the minimum viable product. So right now we have the basis of the design down, a lot of the search functionality going in, and we're going to be opening up to beta testers probably by the end of Q1 of 2025. So at Q2 we should be opening up to beta testers for all the people that have shown interest via our waiting list on the investinrvparks.com main landing page right now. So to get the first ones, we already got a list of people who are interested in it, so we're going to be working with them first. They're going to get perks, essentially probably give them really great lifetime perks, just like, hey, thank you, you're a founding member, you don't have to pay, or your prices are very limited, or your subscription costs are very limited. We're trying to explore between the difference between a subscription model and a pay per, like listing pay per type of communication tokens, because
Mm-hmm.
we don't want people who are very high level developers to get inundated with messages from someone who read a book about RV parks yesterday saying, I want you to build an RV park for me or with me, like join my team. My name's Bill and I live out, like I live in my parents' basement. Help me out, right? We don't want a level of seniority and experience to get tarnished with people who are new and eager. We don't want to
Right.
scare the big guys and gals away who've been doing this a while, who actually will find some benefit from it. So if we have beta testers going in helping us out with that, the other set is existing park owners. So we're actually I've got a project I've been working on where I've just been scraping every single RV park and resort destination in the whole United States and Canada.
Hmm. Wow.
And what we're going to do is we're going to preload the whole website with every single existing park, and we are going to be reaching out to people that in we're going to start in a region at a time, so southeast where our RV resort is being developed, so focusing on North Carolina and Georgia and South Carolina. And we're going to focus on that little region to reach out to people who have parks that would be something that they meet the criteria. It's independently owned. It's probably been a family owned or independently owned for over 20 plus years. They're under market rates. Their reviews are a little bit, a little lower. They could use some work. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually reach out to them and then send them a link to what their fully completed profile would look like on our service and say, hey, we made this for you.
Yes.
If you want to create if you're thinking about selling and or if you're ever thinking about selling, feel free to use our profiles already made for you. Has all the information that we could find. You just have to fill in the blanks, and you can use our platform to get your park sold. And this is what we are charging, which for the first few people would be like free, right? We just need
Right.
testimonials.
Sure.
Um, that's one of the strategies. I've actually One thing that we're doing is I actually am a member of a website called growthmentor.com, and it is a website for people who are developing SaaS, software as a service websites
Mm-hmm.
and services that you can get in touch with people in Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies that are
Hmm.
C-level suites or heads of departments of marketing, of branding, of the CTOs of companies, people who have exited 8, 9 figure companies. They offer free. You pay for the service at Growth Mentor, and then you can get free initial consultations with these experts.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I actually have a few meetings I set up every other week. So I'll try to set up 2 to 3 meetings every other week with these growth mentors. And yeah, I mean, they've been giving me some amazing advice, amazing direction, where I can find additional engineers and developers so that we can grow the team as well as just like, for our marketing plan for like our first to market or go to market plan. We need to focus on the number one thing, which really is a functional marketplace. Making sure
Mm-hmm.
that works really well, then we will slowly roll out some of these features with our beta users
Hmm.
related to the team building aspect. Because if we try to do both of them at the same exact time, we need to make sure both are equally strong. So
Yeah.
I'm going to start with what is the most attractive thing about the website you can buy and sell RV parks. Better, ideally better than the competition. Once that is solidified, then we're going to start rolling out more of that team building aspect. But first, we really need to build a base, of RV parks and users to make the team building aspect really worthwhile. Because right now, you'll just have people going, "Hey, I'm interested in like empty teams. There's nobody out there. There are no teams out there." So yeah, we've got a plan for converting those beta testers and beta users into our first customers and first users of the site, and then we also have a plan to do some outreach to RV park owners who may have been considering selling and not even realizing. One thing we might also do is, hey, we'll just go look at all the ones that are for sale, recreate their profiles on our site, and say, hey, why don't we'll offer a free account if you want to try selling via us. Here's your like marketing links. Um, One thing actually I just came up with while we were on this call that might be real helpful is, how they're for mobile when you're on LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, when you're on Instagram you have a little link tree or a
Mm-hmm.
like a bio in page they call it, where
Yeah.
it's a mobile formatted link directory. Anyone can make them. They're usually pretty free. Well, I think what'll be helpful is none of these other sites do anything that make the branding feel white label. Everything is like, oh, you're on Crexy, you're on Crexy. It's Crexy everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You're just in
Yep.
their system, right? There's
Yeah.
nobody really making it a white label like link in bio um, type of style sales page. So if somebody is actually using our service, the page they can either pay to get the branding removed, or the first ones we tested out, we remove all of the branding and it just looks like a sales flyer for them. But when
Hmm.
they go to interact, get some information, it goes through our systems. So there's nothing like
Good
little
idea.
things like that. Like I just came up with
Yeah.
that. That could be a really helpful way just to make Bob and Jane's little RV park look like it's being professionally handled. The sale is.
Right. That's a good idea. Do you have like a deployment roadmap?
The deployment roadmap right now it is finalized this MVP within this quarter. next
Yeah.
quarter, do the beta testing, and I'm hoping that by Q3 or Q4, the latest, we're going to be also deploying the team building aspect, but just doing internal testing, get to 100 testers. I have access to the Facebook group that we manage called RV Park Mastery. That Facebook group, I want to utilize a lot of the members there and give them the free access, free membership to say, hey, come take break this software for me. Like you got a park for sale, or you're looking for parks, come on in. And the idea is within by 2026, we've gotten out of the MVP phase. We've gotten beyond the initial user testing, and by 2026, we're going in and building out some more of like advertising functionality, vendors, being able to have vendors come in so that they can help cover the cost of running the software just by having vendor sponsorships and agreements for the advertising side of
Hmm.
things. Uh, with the platform, I'm thinking, within the next year, with the goal of raising 1.5 million, which is our initial seed fund that we're trying to do, seed round. The goal is to get the software as stable as possible, on parity with some of the bigger offerings out there, especially with the ones in the current competition, such as like the RV Park Store and Campground Marketplace. Just reaching parity with those bare minimum, and then starting to reach parity with a lot of the functionality, um, that is just core functionality on Crexy, making sure that we have all the NOI, the ability for the rent rolls to be uploaded, analyzed, and just some additional tools that just make it so that every investor that comes to the site is as informed as they can be before they make the decision to pursue sending out an LOI or purchase agreement or getting in touch with the owner to try to facilitate the sale. Um, I do have my 3-year roadmap for InvestIN, any of the InvestIN brands, whether it's the RV parks or if by the time we launch self storage and mobile home parks, is to actually partner up with a very tech centric brokerage that's an online brokerage, and to try and actually bring the full transaction into the digital space, with a 0.5%, 1% fee on our end, to be partnered up with this brokerage and to offer the platform that you can do this, and then completely take needing to do investments through your standard brokerage and your standard
Wow.
the standard method and style, and just like the current habit in which the process that everybody goes through currently to buy these RV parks.
Right.
How can we digitize that? There's a lot of NFCs brought the world a bunch of stupid stickers, but they
Hmm.
also brought the world the ability to tokenize tangible assets.
Oh yeah.
And the medical world and the real estate world are starting to be turned upside down digitally on the cutting edge side of things with the tokenization of physical assets and real property. So, hey, who knows what we'll be in 3 years?
Sounds exciting. Yeah. So do you have a development team helping you?
As of right now, I do have one. I have a junior developer who is helping me get through with the initial MVP. I've gone through a series of developers already to get through the first MVP. We're pivoting away from that. That was too design centric,
Hmm.
versus form and or versus functionality.
Right.
And so I do have one developer that is working on board. He's part of the core team as we're finishing off this current version. The goal is to be able to raise some of the seed funds so that we can actually bring on a senior developer, and having bring in an app developer as well. So the goal would be to not only try to get the MVP, the web and desktop based version, out to the public by sometime by middle of this year, but also get by the end of the year a potential app, iOS app or Android app, also released simultaneously before the end of the year. So right now
Yeah.
it's a team of two. in terms of
Okay.
the technical side of things.
Yeah.
Zach's on, Zach being a partner on the team as well. He is waiting for something to sell. So I'm finishing. We're working on building that up, building the Invest in RV Parks product at a point that we can bring it in front of additional investors to get the funding needed so that we can bring on more developers and really exponentially expedite the process.
Okay. So if you had the funding in place, what kind of developer would you get first?
I would get a senior level developer that has a full stack, skill set that can go in and help us get all the core technologies we need built out in a way that so we're planning for expansion and for scaling. Because a lot of
Hmm.
people, they'll build an MVP and then they will build the MVP up and grow that, but then they hit a wall due to the scalability of the technologies. A lot of the no code technologies that are out there, they can't build it beyond a certain level because they actually start hitting either the limits of what the technology they use, the no code offerings, or it gets so expensive because it was never meant to scale at that level. That I
Right.
remember hearing somebody had developed a Vercel based app and it went viral and they woke up to $100,000 bill and they were like, it was just for fun.
Hmm.
So we're
Wow.
trying to avoid that. So first and foremost would be a senior developer who can go in and really add on to the strategy and put their input to make sure that there are safeguards in place and there are proper precautions taken for making sure that we have an app that is as scalable as it can be within our budgets and our constraints and is on a timeline that it makes sense right now. When you
Hmm.
work with junior developers, with a bootstrap startup, and this being one of the three different things we're doing in the real estate space, it's a little bit difficult because it's not my 9 to 5 every single day, day in, day out job. So
Right.
we're working on a little bit more of a lenient and stretched out timeline just to get things done. But if we had the funding, yeah, immediately I would actually bring in an agency or a consultant to hire a technical developer, a senior level developer. I'm considered the tech guy, but I don't code at that level that these senior developers can. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to actually test out their qualifications and their skill set at the level that we need it to be. So yeah, first I would bring in an agency that would help me locate a senior developer. And from that point on, I would bring in an external marketing agency to start building up all the branding, the lead generation of these potential parks, because the more parks that are on the service, the more successful. Because we have two customers. Every marketplace has two customers. It's not
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
visitor to the website. Most website, Google is one customer, person searching,
Yeah.
visitor, same person. Every website is the buyer and the seller. So the sellers bring the buyers, and the buyers make it so that the sellers want to be on there. So it's like a chicken and the egg scenario, but really you need to bring in a bunch of sellers, get them say yes, I'll put my information on here, I'll create an account, I will use your service. Whether you put them in there manually because you've reached out and said, hey, I already created your account, you just got to say yes. Whatever it takes to really upload and essentially like boost your numbers on that side of the aisle will then result into the traffic that you need to bring in the buyers to make this
Hmm.
a mutually beneficial and a mutually successful operation. Funny story: Tinder would have attractive females go to different college campuses one at a time and get people to sign up on Tinder right then. So go to
Really?
frats
Wow.
and then go once all the guys from the frats sign up, they would go to the sorority and say, "Look at all the frat guys that we just signed up," and they would get them to sign up right then and there, show them how it works, and they did that, and they got them to 25,000 users within a short amount of time
Hmm.
with the
Nice.
least amount of money, other than the cost of that one, handful of boots on the ground, like or street team
Right.
that they had. And I think it might have been even one person, like
Really?
one girl,
Wow.
like one.
It's even more powerful.
One girl. Oh yeah. So now I just need to get a very attractive male or female spokesperson to go to these RV parks and to sign these people up, give them a free phone because they might not have a smartphone, because that's how old some of the owners in
Hmm.
these parks are.
Yeah, for sure.
And then be like, we're gonna sign you up, and like swipe, swipe, swipe. Actually, I was joking with somebody that I need to do a swipe functionality for the parks. So people can swipe what they're interested in, do
Mhm.
bulk LOIs and bulk interest, notifications like, hey, your people are interested in it, and just make it where it takes the same algorithm of buying an RV park, the dating world algorithms, and just kind of spin it into the RV park world and just see what we can get there. Because, I mean, if it works, it's human psychology. So if it works in one way, what do you need to adjust to get it to work in this industry for this intent, which is a match, interest, match, deal, money.
I'd say more pictures, like a Crexy.
Yeah,
They make
better
it bulky.
pictures.
Yeah, better pictures,
Oh yeah.
easier to see and stuff as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's actually something that I've thought about is like, how do you get better pictures without having a very high expense of having a media team that goes and takes your pictures, right? Like
Right.
goes to all these parks and takes, that's super expensive. I mean, it may make sense. Like, let's say we have a signature level for these 10 million, $20 million resorts, right? That makes sense. If they pay us a certain amount of money and they agree to do that because we have the digital broker at that point, yeah, I think
Hmm.
we should invest the money to go bring our photographers and take the photos
Yeah.
that we know will sell them. So we
Well,
can easily offer a signature
exactly.
package,
Take your team
team
there
up
and
with local photographers. Yep. So I mean, that's something that I've definitely put in consideration of like some of the offerings. The only problem is it's the same thing. Like when it goes back to our RV resort development, we've talked about how many people do we want working at this place? How many automations do we want to take over human interaction and a
hmm
human responsibility? And the more people you
right.
have under you, the more overhead, the more management. So it's like
Hmm.
something like
Yeah.
that would be when we've hit a level of success where it's like, cool, we've got this surplus of cash, we can dedicate it to this, invest in RV parks, invest in signature package, signature account, right? And these will get you the best results, right? So that's something that well is definitely on the books. It's just I want to automate it as much as possible in whatever that means, like whether it's a team that's broken up into regions and they just travel within those regions and it costs X amount to get it covered, or we have a very automated program where people can just apply, pick the gig of whatever RV park they want, and we have more than one person go and the best one wins, but everybody else still could get
Hmm.
compensated for their like time and money, like time and gas, right? Because that's like the logo
Yeah.
competitions they have out there. They're like, you get 100 designs. How many hours did all these people spend on these designs? Like collectively, it could be 1,000 hours. 100 designs, 10 hours
Oh
each,
yeah.
or 1,000 designs, 1 hour each,
Easily.
whatever it is, right? So you
Hmm.
just had 1,000 hours of work, but you're only picking one that equaled 10. So I
Yeah.
like that you get better quality. The only problem with that is like it's hard to take something that's just designed, can be done on your computer anywhere, and then shipped out to physical work that you need people to
Hmm.
walking around and being kind of invasive into these RV properties, RV park
Yeah.
properties. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of ideas, a lot of spaghetti has been thrown on the ball, and a lot of ideas are written down to see what'll stick at the different phases once we've kind of solidified our position in the market and we've gained enough ground where it's kind of this self evolving prophecy of self growth, continual growth, um, which the goal is to have something out out in the next quarter, just
Yeah.
for testing purposes to get
Oh, like
feedback and then
March,
go from
April.
there.
Yeah. So next quarter, you thinking
Yeah.
March or April? Yeah.
April. Yeah, April for sure.
There we go.
April. Right now I have a working
April.
MVP. It's
Okay, that's
just
pretty
not
exciting.
so April, yeah. Yeah. So I have a working MVP.
Okay.
It's just not at the level of quality that I was hoping we were going to get for the cost. So we're using that as the building
Right.
blocks for the next developer's version. Say, hey, take what works really well here, and let's say
Okay.
improve upon that, and let's go from there.
Good deal. So then next you're going to do storage units. Is that right?
That's the goal. I don't want to delve too much into that. I want to just knock out the invested RV parks first. But really, it's
Right.
the idea of invested RV
Yeah.
parks came in. It came in a meeting. One of our teammates, Kevin, was like, "Hey, invested RV parks is available." I was like, "What? What are you saying?" He's like, "InvestedRVparks.com is available." I'm like, before he was done saying it was available, I had just bought it. I was like, not
Yeah.
anymore. Like it was available till you told me, and then that kind of spawned the idea, right? But it wasn't anything that we were really building upon until a few months later. And then I was like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? Let's find a way to create some sort of marketplace. Like the domain is all the advertising you need. It's like if you had a domain that's like buy houses. I wonder what you do at buyhouses.com. Turns out it's a
Right.
toy manufacturing company that makes little pink elephants, right? No, it's not. You buy
Yeah.
houses. Same with invest in RV parks.
Okay.
So it's a little tricky because when you think invest in RV parks, you think of just putting money into RV parks as an investment. We wanted it to be a little bit more because if
Mm-hmm.
it's just an investment, that is such a smaller market than the already small market of the 15,000 RV park potential buyers, well, RV park owners there
Right.
are, and the buyers of those RV parks, right? That's already small. So if you did
Mm-hmm.
just invest in RV parks, it would be too small, and you can't make a successful web business, a SaaS company, with such a small market that it costs so much money to obtain that market because they're to get someone who invests in RV parks, the type of criteria you would need for advertising it doesn't exist. You can't just say, "Do you invest in RV parks?" Like and go like, "Oh, you do.
Well,
Cool. We're going to advertise to you." You have to advertise to everybody in the passive invest income world, real estate investment world. Like you kind of just have to bundle everybody in and hope you get the ones out of there, right?
mm-hmm.
But if you
Right.
make a website that lets you buy and sell, well, buying an RV park is technically the investing part in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
if you're buying an
Yeah.
RV park, well, you're buying an investment, whether it's with a bunch of people
Mm-hmm.
that you had to raise money with, which you could invest into that group, that firm, or you're the one who can afford to buy it all out all by yourself. So I kind of took the idea of what the name said and stretched it out a little bit to try to have a slightly larger audience. Um, the idea was it was just invest in RV parks, but really RV parks are the third asset class and last asset class of this like trifecta of these alternative assets that have really been making waves in the US, which is first off with self storage, then mobile home parks started to pick up steam, and now RV parks are that third item of that group of actual real estate investments that aren't single family or multifamily. They're alternatives because they're not one of those two
Mm-hmm.
main categories. Self
Right.
storage has already had a really large presence from private equity capital coming in, buying it up, and like what's left of that industry. There's still deals out there, but just they're really not as many as there were just a handful of years ago. Mobile home parks they're
Mm-hmm.
kind of like on the precipice of there's still some pretty good deals, but now mobile home or private equity has like really gotten wind of mobile home park opportunities, and now you've got these multi-billion dollar nine-figure size equity firms and funds coming after all of this. And next up is RV parks. So there's still 79% of all of the 15,000 plus RV parks in the US are independently or individually owned. That means four out of every five RV parks
Wow.
does not have a big backing, like private equity firm above it that owns it. And that was as
That's
of I think
amazing.
2 years ago or so, 2 or 3 years ago. So yeah, that's it's pretty
Okay.
crazy. So yeah, so there's a
79%.
a lot of small businesses out there that are ripe for acquisition, redevelopment of the
Mm-hmm.
properties, and a website
Yeah.
like Invest in RV Parks that's tailored for the modern age can really attract that more modern and savvy investor who's looking to, who may already know about syndication software like Cashflow Portal or Syndication Pro. Like they're already integrated with these newer modern technologies that make investing and managing investments really easy. So we just wanted to take
Hmm.
that same mindset of investing made easy to the purchasing and selling, aka investing in RV parks aspect, made easy as well, and even hopefully connect with those types of softwares to make it one more tool that is under our belt that makes it where you can do everything related to the RV park investment world pretty much through one website.
Okay, that's pretty exciting. So for investors that are going to invest into the InvestIN development, what's the plan to like? I should say, what's the offer to get them to come in and invest and enjoy the deal?
So that is
So,
being finalized. We are actually finishing up. I've got a few models that I'm talking with Zach. So we don't have it's right now with that $100,000 minimum investment in our fund of funds, Maverick Asher Capital, which then can be brought over in $25,000 splits in between one of our offerings right now. So one of those offerings is Invest in RV Parks. So with a minimum of $25,000 that can be invested into the Invest in RV Parks fund. With eight, we're going to be offering a 8% preferred return. But I don't know what the equity and IRR said. I think Zach said that we're looking at 30% plus because it's a 5-year hold. It's a 5-year timeline minimum before we either
mm-hmm.
refinance and get all the investors out, or we decide to pack up and sell. So can't I only
Okay.
know the numbers. I live off the numbers off of our Notion page for the marketing. And I know that with Invest in RV
Right.
parks, being that it's SaaS, it is different than real estate. It is the multiples, the
Mm-hmm.
risk level, the risk tolerances that are required. It's software. We are making magic. We are making value appear out of thin air.
Yeah.
With real estate, you have a physical item that you can say there's a value attached to it. So it is
Mm-hmm.
developing a SaaS and being in the SaaS world of capital raising and capital investments is it's scary because the whole idea is it's code, it's being created, but at the same time the potential is like immense. You can only put so many RV pads in a property before you've hit your limit. You can't, unless you acquire more property, you can't just magically, infinitely, expand. With software, your limitation is the size of your market. And with real
Mm-hmm.
estate investments, if yes, it's RV parks, but really it's a real estate investment. So the limitation on the market size is just how much awareness can you bring to RV park real estate investments? Because really, if you can get people who do real estate investing over here to come over to your side of just, oh, by the way, RV parks are amazing, you can keep growing that market and the audience. So you may not have a million people, a billion people like some of these social media networks, but when your product can have 100,000 people, and actually it could be well over a million, millions if you start to get very, if your marketing can target the broader real estate investment community or audience, you
Mm-hmm.
can have millions. But
Oh, yeah,
in
for
this
sure.
instance, we're aiming for about 100,000. Like if we could get 100,000 users on there, um, paying whether it's $50 a month to have a premium account or $10 a month to have access to the good listings, and then listings give us 0.5% of their value when they sell. I
There
mean,
you go.
the value proposition there is it's pretty nice. It's a
Mhm.
nice eight-figure range.
Nice. That's up for sure. Good deal. Yeah, I have a friend who has a SaaS business, and he's getting ready to sell it. It's amazing what he's selling it for. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't just say that. Like, are we talking like tens, 20 millions, 5 million? Like,
So he only started it like three
I
years
don't know the
ago.
friend, so
Well, it's
yeah.
actually for dang it. It's like Well, it's for marketing mostly, but anyways, so he only started 3 years ago, and he wants to sell it for like $2 million, and it's just him
Okay.
and a partner. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's just
it's not
simple
bad.
marketing.
And the thing is, like, that's a service, right? It's just a marketing service agency that provides users with, maybe marketers or maybe VAs or somebody that goes in. Or does he do like they build out the web presence and manage just all of the leads for companies, something like
Right.
that?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So that has a lot of moving parts because you've got all these processes over and over. It's less of
hmm
like this
Yep.
workflow that's automated that doesn't just make sure it doesn't break.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, it's not
Well,
bad. It's not bad. I mean, I wonder what the websites like. I don't know what the values of the dedicated RV marketplace sites are. Like RV parks, I wonder what that value is. There's no metrics on how many customers they have, any
no,
of
it's
that
not.
stuff. So we don't know.
Yeah,
So,
it'd be something to
but
to figure out.
but yeah,
Like Crexer or LoopNet. Get the valuation of those.
yeah.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
well, I
fun.
mean, if like it's you could get the valuation of correctly LoopNet. The problem is it's like it's got so many pieces. What are you can't value a department of it, like a section,
hmm
like the RV,
Right.
recreational real estate. You can't just value them out because there's no like other. I mean, they probably have those numbers, but they're not going to be front public facing. But yeah.
Right. For sure.
Well, hey Brian, I'm gonna have to run in just a few minutes because I do have to catch up with our VAs to get them their end of the week. But you have any other
All good.
questions related to that we might be able to use or work with?
Nope. Just tell me where they can find you.
Awesome,
So,
awesome. Well, it's been fun. Have a great weekend. I will catch up with you next week, and then yeah, Zach and I we're gonna work on getting. I'm gonna work on the initial evaluation. Right now, I have some initial. I have some reports that I'm crafting and writing up of what we could do with IRVP, with invested RV parks for
nice.
that. We have there's a few structures. You have the safe note structure, where it's like the future equity. You have like, there's a few different ways. So I think we might want to set up a meeting and figure out what makes the most sense. Um, and then, yeah, then we'll be able to pull the numbers out and be able to formalize the investment offering so that I can advertise it. Because right now we just have some like rough numbers.
Good deal. All right. Well, thanks, Eric, for your time. Let's
Hey, no problem.